just a second. I'll go grab them.
Okay, thank you.
He said no, because usually what they do is they have you go through corporate, and then corporate will give you that.
What about pictures? Just nothing really? No. That's fine. Okay. At least I asked.
Yeah. No,
I have a drone with me, so you probably really have been wondering what the hell was happening.
No, yeah, no worries.
No filming allowed. Got that. To be fair, I did hit the record button well ahead of being told that. Guess I'll just work with what I got for you guys. Yeah, or I'll just go to Home Depot. Penny tile, more penny tile. It's got a much better slip resistance on it. You can feel it. Tiles do have a slip resistance rating. Ceramic ones, super easy to cut. Porcelain's gonna be harder to cut, which is most of what tile is these days. I've installed plenty of these. Again, you've got some big spots for the grout, and it's glass, so you wanna have a nice clean blade because you'll get chips and stuff. And cutting glass, you don't wanna come down on top of it with your blade. You want to push through. That will prevent it from cracking, and glass definitely like to crack. And same with this. This is glass, so you don't want the saw blade to come down onto it. You want to push it through. Actually, a lot of people, you probably don't have saws that can come down onto it anyway. Right here, so stainless steel. These are popular. I've done these as long as even, gosh, like 8 years ago. And they cut pretty easy. You don't want to turn, so like when you're cutting this metal, you want to keep it super straight. Because if you turn even a 64th of an inch at all, it kind of jabs and wants to throw the whole thing off of the saw. Same thing with Schluter. You gotta just go slow and super straight. Not ideal at all for a shower. And that's not even the reason, because of the holes and everything in them. They swell up. Travertine especially swells up with the hot water, shrinks with the cold water. Your grout's gonna crack, your water is gonna leak. Stay away from travertine in the showers. VersaBond is good. White or gray, doesn't affect anything. Sometimes you want to match the grout. If you have a dark grout, you do a dark mortar, vice versa, but honestly, it's not a problem. It really doesn't affect anything. Speed set's really good. That's all we used to use on jobs. Like that was it. Dries pretty quick, gives you an hour or two, so it's not too hard to work with. Really cool option with the glass tiles. You can backlight them. Put LED lights in the wall behind the tiles. I've done it many times. Probably was one of the first people to do it. So like these light would go right through, and you could shine it up, and there's ways of diffusing the light. You put it behind those and it looks freaking awesome. I'm not sure how many other guys do that. So these ones are glass, but see, with that kind of a pattern on it, they're not going to be as easy to see through, but you still can see a little bit. These are good. I've done a lot of square footage of this exact tile. This tiny grout lines, tiny joints. That needs. This one actually can be sanded or non-sanded. Sanded grout wants an 1/8 of an inch. You can tell it's a little bit less than 1/8 of an inch, but my experience, it's totally fine. You can do 3/64. This has to be sanded for sure, because if you do non-sanded grout on these, you'll get cracks. Little cracks will form in all those bigger spots. And herringbone is this pattern. It's one of my favorite patterns. Done a lot of square footage of that tile. And it doesn't have to be, like, just because you see this in a herringbone style, you can do any tile. You can take this tile and put it in a herringbone style. Just pull those off of there if you really wanted that particular tile. Even these could be in herringbone. It's just the pattern. Just start like that. And then that one, if I had room, go out that way. So on and so forth. These are excellent because you don't have to have grout. In fact, you don't want to do grout. It's a natural stone, granite, limestone. I love the edges. I love the look of these. They can be used in a shower. You just make sure you do what's called red guard behind it, since you're not going to be doing any grout. Highly recommend it all the time in every shower, regardless of the tile. Lowe's sells the same thing, except it's a different brand, just a waterproofing membrane. And of course theirs is greenish blue, so opposite of this. Definitely worth it. And I would do even 5 or 6 coats of that, depending on the shower, depending on the tile. 3 sometimes is enough. You can see the chip right there. That doesn't mean anything. I mean, tiles are going to chip. That red color tells you it's ceramic, and it's a lot easier to cut than porcelain, which is right underneath it. And pretty much all the tiles these days are going to be Mexico, Spain, Brazil, or USA. And a lot of tiles too will have arrows on them. And let's see, made in USA. Looks like there is an arrow mark there. So that is just telling you a direction. because of the way the pattern is, so you want to keep all the tiles going that same direction regardless of what pattern you use. And that isn't necessarily a rule, because sometimes you want to break up the pattern so that they're not going the same way. You get effects like that. Well, another thing to look for is your joint. So most tiles are beveled. So if you put them together, which is called a butt joint, you have a gap. Basically 16th inch of a gap. And that's a very, very small gap on that one. Natural stone won't have a bevel on it if we can find some. This is ceramic, made in Spain, like I was saying. It's got a bevel, but it's very small. Let's put those together. You still would actually want to put grout in that, non-sanded grout. That line there, same reason, part of the bevel. Again with the line, it's just giving you a set distance apart, and there's the arrow that you can see on the back. These ones are giving you already a perfect intersection of the grout spacing. Takes out some of the hard work for you. Nothing wrong with that. These, of course, I can see the bevel on it. These are really popular. Installed a bunch of these. Penny tiles, always popular for decades now. And they feel pretty good actually when you're walking on those. Easy to install, as easy as anything else. These are just white. They're all white. There's no pattern on it whatsoever. So there'd be no reason to have an arrow. You can see there's no arrows on the back. Made in USA. Here is Grout Renew. What this lets you do is actually recolor. Well, I don't know if this is dyes. They have, yeah, it is. So they've got these colors that lets you recolor and stain your grout. So if you have a grout and you don't like the color, you can change it. However, if your grout has been stained either at the time of installation, which is an impregnating stain, or if it's been stained after it was installed, you're not going to be able to change the color of it. And it's not necessarily easy too. I mean, if you've got backsplash kitchen, not that big, maybe. A whole entire bathroom or something, yeah, it's not fun to change your grout color. I thought maybe I would just show you some of the jobs that I have done. Literally, this is probably 2% of my work, and also my wife. And she's amazing, not just because she looks amazing, but because I don't know any other person, let alone woman, who could put up with as much ridiculous crap as she does from me.